Greenland is a vast, ice-covered island on the world map. But this quiet, desolate land was once a silent battlefield in the world's greatest war. The story begins in 1939 as the fog of World War II looms over Europe. Where is Greenland? Greenland, the world's largest island, lies between the North Atlantic Ocean and the Arctic Ocean. It is largely a Danish territory, but its environment and society are largely distinct. In the 1930s, Greenland was a lonely landmass, 80% covered in ice, sparsely populated and poorly connected. Yet it was a strategic jewel, especially given its location between Europe and North America. The fall of Denmark and the beginning of uncertainty, 1940. On April 9, 1940, Nazi Germany suddenly occupied Denmark. Without a fight, Denmark surrendered. Within hours, this incident left Greenland politically isolated. Who now owns the island? Who will control it? A unique move, US and Canadian interests. After Denmark was occupied, the US and Canada became concerned. If Germany used Greenland to build an airbase, the entire North Atlantic would be threatened. Diplomatic drama and the birth of the agreement, 1941. Denmark was then an occupied country, but the US began secret negotiations with the Danish ambassador. In Washington, Henrik Kauffman. In 1941, a secret agreement called the Kauffmann Agreement was reached. Through this, the US was allowed to establish a military base in Greenland without the permission of the Danish government. This agreement later sparked controversy in politics and international law because it was a unilateral diplomatic decision. American arrival, bases in the ice. Immediately after the treaty, the United States began building several military installations in Greenland. The most important was WWII BW-1 airbase, later known as Narsarsuaq Airport. Strategics, advantages. Warplanes heading to Europe could stop here to refuel. The base was used to collect weather forecasts for the Arctic region. German submarine surveillance was possible. During this time, Greenland was transformed into a military base on the one hand, and on the other hand, the arrival of American troops also changed the society of the island. Secret operations of Nazi Germany. Realizing the importance of Greenland, the Nazis did not remain silent either. They secretly tried to establish weather stations in Greenland because accurate weather information was a matter of life and death during the war. A secret German group called Operation Holzauge, Wooden Eye Operation, set up a weather station in Greenland, but American forces and the Greenland Inuit discovered and destroyed them. End of the war, Greenland and the beginning of the Cold War. After the end of World War II, Greenland returned to Danish control. But the Americans did not leave. In the following decade, Greenland became an important Cold War base. Thule Air Base was established, which is still active today. New tensions on the Northern Islands after the war. With the end of World War II in 1945, the world began to move towards a new heated period, the Cold War. Many of the military bases that had been built in Greenland during the war were kept open. The United States realized that this island near the North Pole was vital for monitoring the Soviet Union. Denmark was politically hesitant at this time. They did not want the island to fall into American possession, and they could not directly oppose it. Thule Air Base, nuclear bombing under the ice. In 1951, a new agreement was signed between the United States and Denmark, through which a large military base was established in Greenland, Thule Air Base. This base was a base ready for aircraft carrying nuclear bombs, radar to detect Soviet missiles, a main center for strategic bomber flights. But the existence of this base gave rise to a terrible incident. A B-52 crash, secret nuclear crisis. January 21, 1968, a US B-52 Stratofortress bomber, which was carrying 4 nuclear bombs, crashed near Thule base. An explosion occurred in the ice, spreading nuclear material all around. At that time, America and Denmark kept the incident secret. Later, it was learned that the remains of one of the 4 bombs were never completely found. This incident raised several questions. Was the bomb ever found? Is there still nuclear contamination in Greenland? Civil reaction and protests in Greenland. After the B-52 crash, the local Inuit people and Danish citizens expressed their anger. They wanted to know, why were nuclear weapons placed on their territory? Why did they not know about the existence of these weapons before? At this time, an independent political movement began in Greenland, where they began to demand more autonomy. The final period of the Cold War, Greenland and secret surveillance. In the 1970s and 1980s, Greenland became important as a center for espionage, radar stations, and submarine tracking during the Cold War. A radar line called the DW line, Distant Early Warning Line, was installed across the Arctic, with its main center in Greenland. At this time, the American presence on the island reached its highest level, a front line lost to history. The war ended long ago. The Cold War has also become history, but the old echoes still linger in Greenland. The Thule base is still in operation today, and those weather stations and old underground radars still work. Greenland's history is not a story of bloodshed in war, but it is a snowy memory of strategy, secret agreements, military tensions, and nuclear threats.